Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I am covering the tragedy in Moscow, Idaho. I want to give everyone a quick update. I know a lot of people have been following my YouTube channel about this case. I filed a open records request with the Moscow Police Department, and the city attorney for Moscow actually got back to me on my request. I'm going to share that with you right now, and then we are going to discuss. So this is the public records request I sent to the Moscow City Attorney's Office. And I said, hello, Moscow City Attorney's Office. This is a public records request seeking the following records. 1. Incident report, affidavit, mugshot, and all records of the individual connected with the 9/12/22 knife threat incident at the University of Idaho. A YouTuber by the name of Chris McDonough is claiming someone is being charged for this knife threat incident by your office. See exhibits. If this is not true, could you please state this? Thank you. Jonathan, Original Media Group. And the city of Moscow actually responded to me, their legal department. And they said, Dear Jonathan, public records request. Your request for incident report, affidavit, mugshot, and all records of the individual connected with the 9/12/22 knife threat incident at the University of Idaho was received by the Moscow Police Department on November 30th, 2022. Your request for information falls under the Idaho Public Records Law. The city's examination of records requested indicates the contents are exempt from public disclosure because the records are active investigatory records, which, if released, would deprive a person of a right to a fair trial per Idaho code. Specifically, the records you are requesting are the subject of a case in which prosecution by the city of Moscow is pending. The statutory exemptions asserted herein shall not constitute a waiver of any and all legal basis of privileges, which may also be applicable to the documents which are the subject to your request. In compliance with the requirements of Idaho Code, please be advised the city attorney for Moscow has reviewed your request. You have the right to appeal denial by filing a petition in conformance with the provisions of Idaho Public Records Law. Any such petition must be filed in the Second Judicial Court of Idaho within 180 calendar days of the mailing of this response. Please note that the exemptions from disclosure might not apply to the documents that you are requesting once the prosecution is complete. When the prosecution is complete, you may make another request, which will result in the release of all non-exempt public records. Signed, Mia Batista, City Attorney. So they're saying it's an active investigation, therefore you can't get the records, but said once the investigation is complete or the prosecution is complete, you would be able to get the records. That's what they're saying here. They cited Idaho statute. This is kind of how the public records request works. You send it to an agency and they respond. But notice they did respond. That's the thing. They have to respond by law to you. It doesn't mean they have to give you the records. A lot of times you do get records, but in this particular instance, I'm asking about the 9/12/22 knife threat incident, and they are denying the records by saying it's an open investigation. The more you know. So I was seeking information about that 9/12/2022 knife incident that happened at the University of Idaho. I was hearing that some sort of altercation between some people that went to the university and a cyclist. And I wanted to get names. I wanted to know about that prosecution. Again, I wanted to see if it would be related to the stabbing incident that just happened at the home. Wanted to see if there was any sort of connection in reference to that. And you saw that they were denying my request based off it being an active investigation. Right now, as far as the stabbings that occurred on November 13th, 2022, 4 victims, that's unsolved. Wanted to see if that prior knife incident at the university months before in September was in relation of any way. Didn't get the information, but I will continue to try to seek out and try to see if there's a connection. Now, police have put out a statement. the other day saying there is no connection to that. So I don't know, but I am trying to get records. I felt like I needed to share that information with you and then give you an insight about the process of the Idaho public records request. Any of you guys out there, if you guys want information about anything, you can submit a records request to an agency and they have to respond to you by law. But as you saw, sometimes there's records that are exempt and they don't have to give it to you, but they do have to respond to you. And a lot of times when I do submit public records requests, I do get records and it provides some insight. So I've already filed numerous public records requests already with the Moscow Police Department about the King Avenue address. Prior to the November 13th stabbings, I wanted to know all the times that police went to that home in the last 5 years. Just for insight, wanted to see if there might have been parties or some sort of other incidents that happened at that home. Wanted to know information about the Sigma Chi fraternity, about police calls going there. So they are pending. I should hear a response from the Idaho Police Department, or the Moscow Police Department, early next week. You got 3 business days to respond. I just shot them out a couple days ago, so remains to be seen. But I will post you updates on that. Trying to figure out who did this crime. Sometimes public records requests, the information obtained through them, you can get insight and learn a lot and might be able to put the pieces together. And authorities are probably working behind the scene doing the same thing. They're doing their investigation techniques, but the community's on edge. Community's on edge. I'm hearing next week that the students go away for the semester and they don't come back to January. So if they don't solve this case soon, there's going to be a lot of pressure and a lot of anxiety and a lot of people worrying about coming back, particularly if there's a killer on the loose in the city of Moscow. A lot of families, when their students go back home, the families might not want to send their student back to that area because there's someone on the loose. What assurances do students have that they'll be safe and everything like that? So a lot of pressure on law enforcement, Idaho State Police, FBI, Moscow Police to solve this crime. Are they getting close? No one knows because they're not releasing information. When journalists like myself try to submit public records requests like I did and get denied, that's leaving people in the dark. And I know probably a lot of journalists that are in that area are probably doing the same tactic I am by submitting public records requests and then hitting a roadblock. So the lack of information has people wondering what is going on in Moscow, Idaho. Subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button. I'm covering this case. I've been covering it extensively, providing a lot of insight about the victim's associates and a lot of things. So go check out my videos, please. Praying for the community. God bless. And hopefully this can be resolved very soon and someone is held accountable. God bless.